It's maddening. There's junior hires everywhere.
And yes, Katie, we are fine. But now everybody knows where we're going.
Let's just say I heard the truth.
Happy Thursday, everybody. This is week 13 of a super worthless podcast. Actually, it's episode 13, but it's week 13 of the NFL. And that just spells a lot of trouble. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with week 13. Things are just lining up perfectly. I'm Bryce. Obviously, if you don't know me, that's a bit of a problem. But if you are new, subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you're notified of the next episode when it comes out. I make a lot of stuff, including this podcast, who generally, up until today, has featured and featured co-host Nathan Worth, who is, he's busy this week after we had 2 weeks off. Last week was Thanksgiving, which is when we normally would have done the episode, but he's working on school and stuff like that. He's got finals in 2 weeks, so instead of putting an F in the chat for Nathan, we're going to say put an A in the chat for Nathan, because an F as he's coming up on finals would be bad luck. Excuse me. Jeez. So today I'm really busy, so that's just where I'm at. But we're going to cover a couple things today before we get to the picks, which Nathan did send me yesterday. So I will cover his picks as we go through them, or after mine. That way so I don't have to look and see what he's going to do and have them influence mine. But maybe we'll see after the fact. So we'll get to the picks. Before that, we're going to talk a couple Ohio State high school playoffs for football are this weekend. So state champions are being decided today through Saturday, actually. So that's the thing. Good luck to all those competing through all 7 divisions. We're going to talk high school. I keep on saying that. College games that happened over the weekend. There were a couple good ones and one that was just ridiculous. Not in a good way. And then we're going to talk, after that, I'll kind of hit on the hot topic in sports media this week, which is about Baker Mayfield. So that's one of the things we'll talk along with basically this weekend's rivalry games. So you ready? Strap in. Awesome. So the first thing I want to hit is on college football. There needs to be some semblance of defense in football games. Otherwise, it's just you're going back and forth, and it looks like last year's NBA All-Star game. Actually, it was early this year, where it was like, I don't even know what the final score was. There was no defense in it. And like, it's not even that they didn't want to, or couldn't. They just chose not to. And 148 to 145 was last year's score. I think it was 2017. It was last year's. 182 to 192 was the final. Like, they're scoring, 48 points per quarter, which is ridiculous. It's just stupid. But I say that to the fact that the Oklahoma Sooners and West Virginia Mountaineers, West Virginia played on freaking Thursday or Friday, I think. Oklahoma, and for Ohio State to get towards the playoffs, and I'm an Ohio State fan, for Ohio State to get towards the college football playoffs, Oklahoma had to lose. West Virginia needed to play a good game, and they did offensively. Neither team played defense at all. Oklahoma won 59-56. Granted, it's a college game, and Oklahoma's excuse is, we're in the Pac-12. We like to score a lot, and we don't need to play defense because we'll just outscore you. That's fine until you get put on TV. Like, my family and I were watching that game for part of the third quarter, and I want to mention that because that was the highest scoring quarter West Virginia outscored Oklahoma 21-10 in that quarter, and only in that quarter. The lack of defense in that game, I think, might have been outplayed by high school teams. There are high school football teams, and it's not just in my alma mater's conference. It's seen around that there's a lot of high school teams that just don't play defense that well. Like, they try, but they can't. Tackling is rough. Then when you get to playing other teams in other cities and other conferences and different leagues and things like that, you notice different styles of football. And that's evident, especially in Division III of high school football in Ohio. The Oklahoma-West Virginia game, they just completely gave up. If it was a pass to an open receiver, they didn't care. They let him go. If it was a tackle, the guy looked like he had butter on him or oil, and he was oiled up. They just could not bring him down. Like, it was unbelievable. Excuse me. It was unbelievable how they just chose to not play defense because they're like, oh, I can outscore you because Kyler Murray can just pass the ball to whoever he wants. Went 20 for 27 with 364 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. The even crazier stat was the losing quarterback, Will Grier, 32 for 49, 539 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. Didn't throw a pick. And their highest rusher, Kennedy McCoy, 16 carries for 81 yards. That's normal. But Kyler Murray also had 114 yards on the ground on 9 attempts. And Kennedy Brooks, their main running back, 21 carries for 182 yards. Like, West Virginia didn't play defense because they're like, Will Grier will just throw it over you. We were actually laughing, like belly laughing. It was hilarious how bad of defense they were playing. And I don't know why they chose not to play defense. It was a little ridiculous, and I hope I never see that again because I woke up Monday and Tuesday morning, the sports media was just all over it. Like, they had other games to worry about, like the game, Ohio State, Michigan, which we'll get to here in a second. They were eating that Oklahoma-West Virginia game up, and I hope I never see a game like that again. And I'm glad I didn't go to a Pac-12 school. I don't live in that area, and I don't root for any of those schools or anything. I'm not a fan of any of those schools because that was just terrible. And they should take that to heart from everybody that's been saying it, not just me, because they're not gonna hear from me. But they need to get that straight. Play some defense, guys. I mean, Michigan played better defense against Ohio State. Ohio State played some decent defense. But now that we're on that game, what a game that was. I mean, possessions were fast. It wasn't that the teams couldn't play defense. There was some good defense in this game. But Ohio State came out like a completely different team than they had in the previous 11 games. And I hope I see that during the Big Ten championship game. Excuse me. Because they have to dominate and blow Northwestern out of the water in the Big Ten championship game in order to have a chance. Because now they're 6th. They're ahead of Michigan. They came in 10th, and the state up north was 3 in the college football playoff rankings before that game. And then before this game, or after this game, Ohio State winning 62-39. They ran away with it, especially in the third quarter, because the second quarter, it was coming up on 24-10. It was 24-3, I think, after Ohio State scored. No, they allowed a score, and then it was 24-10. And on that ensuing kickoff, Ohio State fumbled the kickoff right at like the 3, fumbled it forward to like the 10. And And the Wolverines recovered it, scored another touchdown in literally like 3 plays, whatever it was. It was ridiculously quick, and I was kind of upset. A lot of us were. We won't lie about that. But the rest of the game, Ohio State, the third quarter especially, is what separated this game. Ohio State scored 17 in the third quarter, and that was it. They just came out, and then the fourth quarter was just on fire back and forth. But Ohio State played a fantastic game. I mean, and it's typical of the rivalry. You can come in no matter what your stats are. Ohio State played terribly offensively. Most of the year, defense was not great. They still allowed 39 points, so I'm not going to hang that against them. Only for the fact that they outscored Michigan, who had the number 1 defense coming into this game. Like, they were that good. And Ohio State hung 62 on them, which was fantastic. It was a fun game to watch with my family, and we were over at some friends. It was great. But also half the game I was messing with my new phone. I got a Pixel 3 on Black Friday, which Verizon had like a $400 sale. Whew. That's how you want to look for a new phone. A new phone comes out, freaking 45% off of your phone. Whew. Used some of that savings to get a Pixel stand. I'm enjoying my new phone. So that was the Ohio State Michigan game, and I'm glad that was the thing. So not many analysts were crazy about that game, but people are saying that Ohio State should be in over Oklahoma, mostly because they can play like that. But if they play like that against Northwestern, there's going to be a good discussion for 5 and 6 with Ohio State and Oklahoma. That'll be an interesting game if they play it again. We'll see. The other rivalry game this weekend, which had a lot to it, was Cleveland-Cincinnati. The Browns and the Bengals in Cincy. The Browns won this game, which was fantastic. That one was, there was so much to this game. The Browns won 35-20. Baker Mayfield played a great game. I think part of it could have been Andy Dalton going down in the third quarter when he fumbled the ball when he was getting sacked. When he tried to recover, his right hand got stepped on, I think, and broke his thumb, one of his fingers. It didn't look good on the replay, and he's out for this season, I think, just because it's so late. We got 5 weeks left. We're in week 13. So it was an interesting game, and a lot of the implication was me and a lot of other fans came in, and it might have just been the Browns fans. It could have been Bengals fans. I want Bengals fans to respond to this episode on all fronts regarding this game, especially what I'm talking about here today. The game had extra implication because Hue Jackson, who went 336-1 as the Browns head coach, got fired a couple weeks ago, ended up within like a week or so then signing with the Bengals. That's all fair and okay, because football's a business. The league is the NFL. You work for the NFL. It's your job. You're finding a place somewhere else. That's fine. What I think the whole issue is, and has been all week, that the media can't seem to get rid of this take, is that Baker Mayfield is wrong to call Hue Jackson fake and have a problem with Hue Jackson going to the Bengals. What most analysts don't know about these two teams, not that they're just in-state rivals because they're in the same state and are connected by Interstate 71. That's not the thing. It started when the creator of the Cleveland Browns, Paul Brown, when the Rams moved out to LA in 46, created the team, the Cleveland Browns, named after him, in Cleveland. Years later, left to put another expansion team in Cincinnati, the Bengals, at All Brown Stadium, a stadium named after him, which then became divisional rivals with a team named after him. And that started the whole thing of where Paul Brown was like, okay, we're going to go back. We're going to beat the Browns. Then there are several instances where there was like one case where their PA announcer, the fan had to get a hold of the fans after a bad call. It was a weird game that the Bengals were having. And they said, quit. They said, settle down. We're Cincinnati. Like, you guys are Bengals fans. We're not Cleveland. That was part of the thing, along with Paul Brown, basically, the teams going at it. Basically, the beginning of the rivalry, they got heated for a little while. It wasn't Ohio State, Michigan, but that was where the rivalry started, was from the coach. It was a coaching thing. And it's happened a couple times throughout the rivalry's history. What happened here is, and I'm on Baker Mayfield's side on this. I want to make that clear. And I want to hear this from a Bengals fan's perspective, too, if possible. Baker, there had to have been something internal that he was not a fan of Hue, and not the way that he left because he was fired. It's where he chose to go. And there could have been something internal that Baker had a bad perception of Hue because he seems like a nice guy, and I mean the best for him. But when you draft your number one quarterback, generally they're going to be your starter, and I understand we got Tyrod Taylor before that happened, and then released him after. Actually, we didn't release him. We saw him. We benched him. My bad. For Baker after he came in when Tyrod was injured against the Jets. Baker played fantastic. They're like, oh, we're going to start you next week. The rest is history. And they fired the coaches. Now the Browns have played some of the best football that they have in years without Hue Jackson at the helm and Todd Haley as offensive coordinator. Todd Haley, though, did want to run the team more towards what Baker wanted, and Hue said no. Pretty much from the start of Hard Knocks, which I did pay for to watch. Actually, I didn't. It was a free trial. Regardless, Hugh, I thought Todd Haley looked like the bad guy because he came into a team that already had a head coach, was established in essentially the worst way. And Hue Jackson said, this is my ship. I'm going to run it how I want. Why did you hire an offensive coordinator to do his job and then you still want to control it? That's just my question. And I'm never going to get a chance to ask him because it's going to be way after the fact and way too late. Anyways, Hugh blew his chance, got fired. I was like, all right, Todd Haley's going to be that. Hugh left. Then Todd Haley was almost minutes later fired as well. So they probably had their meetings back to back with John Dorsey or Jimmy Haslam. But they were both gone. Everybody thought Haley was going to take over. None was the case. Haley, I don't know where he's at now. Hue Jackson, he's in Cincinnati. I think the thing that the analysts don't get, and Baker kind of embraces rivalries, kind of like the fans do. He doesn't mind that Hue got fired because they just weren't on good terms. I don't care about that either. What I and Baker also have a problem with is the fact that not that he just went somewhere else. He went to a division rival in Cincinnati that we don't like either. Nobody in the AFC North likes each other. But this rivalry kind of got rebooted because I think Baker might know the history with Cleveland and Cincinnati coaches leaving or getting fired and going to the other team. In-state rivals getting the other team's coach. It's a history, and it fueled the history, and I think it might have helped reignite the rivalry, because if the Browns play against the Bengals later this year and lose, that could be something. I don't know if they will, because Jeff Driscoll, unless they get another quarterback by the end of the year, Jeff Driscoll is the Bengals quarterback, who I played with him on Madden, and about as he's good for is throwing short and running, which is what he did during the Bengals game on Sunday. Analysts don't get the rivalry aspect of games. They're just like, oh, it's a good game. It's whatever. It's this, it's that. They don't get not just the emotional and the physical rivalry aspect of it. It's just a football game to them. And they have to worry about thousands and thousands of games all year. So they don't have time to worry about why they don't like each other, why things are like that. They might know, but they don't care. And that's why a lot of them are more, I don't know if they want to say siding with Hue because he left, but they bring up the aspect that Baker transferred from Texas Tech to Oklahoma because of the whole rift that they had in Texas Tech, and Baker was not given the chance after he started to get a scholarship. He wasn't going to get any money out of it, and I don't think he wanted to. But college is expensive, and I completely understand, which is why I tell them, I'm like, Baker transferred. He went somewhere where they were going to give him money and where he would have started, which is just like high school. If you're not going to start, you want to play somewhere where you know if you're good enough to start, you're going to want to go somewhere where you can play and show people that you have that chance, show people to prove them wrong and get your next level, get to the next level, give them your shot. And that's what Baker wanted to do. Hue has not proven that. When he was 8-8 at the Raiders, everybody's like, oh, man, he's an average coach. Okay, Browns hired him. That didn't happen. But going to Cincinnati, he's not making a dime. He's not making a penny in Cincinnati. He's living off of the Browns' paycheck and his contract that he signed with Cleveland for the rest of the year. He's working for Cincinnati for free. And for anybody that knows that and is a part of the Browns-Bengals rivalry, fan, football player, coach, whatever, they know that. Do they want to acknowledge that? Maybe not. But what irks me is that the analysts don't get it. And I don't know how long we're going to be talking about it, but the fact that analysts and sports talk shows, Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I guarantee the guys on Undisputed were talking about it. That's just to name a few shows. Part of it is when sports writers, beat writers, whatever, I don't know who in Cleveland brought it up yesterday. It was somebody. He answered the questions earlier this week. That's fine. You get that out of the system. When he said, I don't care anymore, he's like, he said his piece. He's done. He's going to answer the questions that are being asked of him. And that's the key here. Somebody else, today or yesterday, I think, actually. And I'd have to look at the time. I don't want to figure that out when that video was released. It might have been yesterday. Somebody asked him about it and said, like, about his comment saying Hue Jackson's fake, for basically asking the players, like, hey, believe in us, believe in this team, believe in me, and we can win games. And then he goes and leaves and goes to Cincinnati, which we already said. I understand him. It's like, yeah, you're kind of acting fake. You're kind of just shedding some salt. Just sprinkling some salt on the Browns. When you go back to a team that you've already coached for and still get paid by the team that you just got fired from. I understand why Baker's upset. And he could be upset about that every single time that they played, because he didn't want to really give him a handshake or give him a hug. He was like, okay, I'm going to give you a handshake, bro, hug it or whatever. Baker's just like, handshake, cool, you're done. Just like head coaches, they do. They give a handshake, good game, you move on. There's no other interaction really. unless it was a really close game, but it wasn't. 15-point spread. But when Hue tried to, hug him, hit him behind the head, like, hey, good job, buddy. Wanted to talk. Baker's like, no, I don't want to talk. He already had a bad taste in his mouth. I understand that. And you won. You don't need to talk to the losing head coach. What's he going to say? Like, hey, you did good. You're going to have a good... Like, no. Not when you maybe badmouth me. I'm not going to talk to you. I have nothing good to say. And that's kind of how Baker's running. I ain't got nothing good to say. I ain't going to say nothing at all. So, I want to hear from Bengals fans what their side of the story is and how they feel about it. Because it would definitely be... I want to see the other side. I want to see what Browns Bengals fans compare how they feel about this rivalry. I think this helps the Browns Bengals rivalry kind of refuel up again because it's kind of been in a lull. It's just kind of been like the Bengals have been like the baby sister of the AFC North, where it's the Browns and the Steelers have been here forever. The Bengals kind of came in. They're like, yeah, we're third. And then the Ravens came in after they moved. They're from Baltimore. Or from Cleveland. When Art Modell moved them. Satan. Not today, Satan. I don't know why I said that. Just a little jab. But then they came in. Browns hated them because of that whole deal when they came back. When the Browns came back. Steelers, proximity. They're close. That's a geographical rivalry. I get that. And then the Bengals, it's like, is it with the Ravens? Yeah, they're in our division. We don't like them. Steelers, Bengals. Yeah, they've had a couple heated playoff games. Understandable. That's a good rivalry. Browns and Bengals, we've had for a while. It's kind of been like, okay, we've played forever. Some of these games have been good. The last good game was not for several years ago, I don't think. It's like, come on. I don't like Cincinnati. I lived there for a couple of years, and it was like, meh. Cincinnati fans are just, they're different. And some of them admit to being fair weather fans. If you are, more power to you because you need it. I'm loyal and I root for my teams constantly. You know this if you know me, because being a Browns fan, it could be a lot worse. It can be much worse, but it could be worse. So Bengals fans, speak up. We're going to move on to the reason why we're here. And that is... what is it? There it is. Football picks. Our weekly pick'ems. And I realize now, actually, that this has been a lot like my Bryce is Right episodes that I used to do in front of a camera, but this is just podcast style. I kind of like this better. If you guys want me to do more of these, definitely let me know. I don't mind talking. It's a lot better when I have someone to discuss with. I could have Jared on. I could have my brother on. That would be good because we can go for a long time. Nate, I love you, buddy. I hope classes and studying goes well for you, bud. So, we're going to cover these picks here. I'm pulling up Nate's that way so I can... I was going to say revert to them, but I'm not going back. So, let's see. Let's recap how we did. The last 3 weeks. Week 10 was the last episode. Both went 9-5. Solid. Week 11, we both did pretty bad. I remember Nate texted me. He was like, I could tell just from his text, and he texts kind of flatly emotionally. This is kind of how I receive his texts, except for when he uses emojis, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know how you want me to perceive this specific message. I almost could not say specific. That was weird because I don't have any speech impediments or anything. It's just talking fast. Mouth outruns my brain sometimes. But at the one point in week 11 during Sunday, he was like, "Man, I got 2 wins." I was like, "Oh, he said he's like, man, I got 3 wins." I'm like, "I have 2," and then I could see like crying, laughing emotions. I was like, okay. He's a little looser about the fact that we're both having a cancerously bad week. I went 4-9. He went 6-7. So he got 2 more games on me. And then last week I went 9-6. I was like, okay, not a bad week, 600. He went 11-4. So I still have not gotten close, aside from my 2 10-win weeks, outside of my 13-1 week. That was my best week I've ever had. Which that same week he was down again. So I gained a game on him. And then the following week I gained a game. But I am 8 games back. I have 100 wins now, so yay me. I'm at 108. Congrats on passing 100. Nate. So he's got 8 games on me, 45 percentage points. It's still pretty close. The dumb thing is we are 120 points apart in the standings. He's in second place. I'm in 6th, which I'm 60 down from Jarrett and Mom, tied for 4th. Standings have been swapping constantly, but if things go at a steady rate, we might start to see a breakaway. Lauren and Anna are fighting for that bottom spot for the grilled cheese spot, is what I call it. Fighting for the grilled cheese. About choked him on saliva there. That was close. Anyways, I'm in 6th. I'm at 1,200. And then Sean is in the top spot, 10 ahead of Nathan at 1,330. So, I'm 60 points behind, and then there's 10 to Missy in 3rd. 50 to Nate. Then there's that 10-point spread to 1st. It's not a lot, but we could start to see a breakaway. I haven't had a ridiculously bad week. That 4-9 week was not what I needed, but 100% was. I need to have good weeks from here on out these last 5 weeks, and then basically nail the playoffs, because once you hit playoffs, you're pretty much, aside from the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, after that you are donezo. You're almost locked in unless you're really close within like 10, 20, 30 points of people, because outside of that, you guys at that point you have to get all the games right or wrong to swap spots, and it doesn't happen because there's no bonuses, not enough games. So this week on Thursday night, we got the Saints at the Cowboys. I like the Saints in this one. There is a possibility of, the Cowboys can put up a fight, but how long will they be able to keep with the Saints is a real question, because the Saints look like an unstoppable buzzsaw right now, and they're now pretty much the favorite in the NFC, maybe in the NFL, to win the Super Bowl. Drew Brees having an MVP candidate season. Okay, so his second page is, that's where Nate and I agree. He's got the Saints. Ravens at the Falcons. Falcons are 4-7 coming in here. Ravens at 6-5 won their last 2 with not Deshaun Jackson. Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry. Deshaun. There's so many Deshaun's in the NFL. I don't understand why. But Nate has the Ravens in this one, understandably. You may have changed it, but right now I have the Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons at home, throw in an upset, because it is week 13. Weird things are going to happen. And at this point, it's either I'm going to beat Nate or I'm going to go down in flames. So that's the first of, I know, these first 2 in the first half of the games that we have picked differently. There's actually a couple here on this first page. So I have Saints, Falcons. The Broncos at the Bengals, who now don't have a good quarterback. The Bengals, in theory, should win this one offensively and defensively, because the Bengals' defense is terrible, and it seems like it's only getting worse. The other favorite in the NFC, there's 4 or 5 good teams this year in the NFL, which is crazy. Normally there's 2 or 3. But when there's this many, it's like the NBA, like anybody could win it. The Rams, I think, are going to beat the Lions. This one's in Detroit, but again, the Rams at 10-1 are near unstoppable. They had that fantastic game 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, and I had the Chiefs in that one, but by golly, 54-51. That game had defense, but when you score 105 points, the offense came to play that game, and I was enjoying it so much. It was just like, oh, like there's like one blow, you think that's it, bam, another blow, bam, then the final one, bam, with a minute left. I was like, oh my gosh. It was a fantastic fourth quarter. I will give it that. Actually, the whole game was crazy. So, Rams should beat the Lions. 98% of people agree with me. Whoa. Here's another 98%er. The Cardinals are at the Packers. The Cardinals are fighting for that number 1 pick. And they're competing with the 49ers at this point, which is no surprise to anybody, really. The Bills were in that conversation, then won a couple games. I don't know how. Packers, I like the Packers in this one. It's almost obvious. It's like no matter how the Packers are trying to fail, because now they have to, in essence, win out, go 9-6-1 just to make the playoffs almost. There's some pretty good teams in the NFC. So Packers should win this one at home. The Browns travel to Houston to play the Texans, and we have a disagreement here. Uh-oh. Dropping bombs here. The Texans are going to win this one. Yes, I'm a Browns fan. Yes, Nathan has the Browns, and he says he generally picks the Browns almost all the time. I'm picking with my brain here. I could be wrong, and I would be more than happy to be wrong in this case, because I always want the Browns to win. But my brain says, I just hit my mic stand. That almost hurt. I was close. Didn't hit my wrist. I hit my hoodie. Whew. Sleeve. Okay. My brain says, as well as the Texans are playing, I think they're going to outplay the Browns. And it could be a pretty good game. But I got to take the Texans in this one. And Nate, you can have the Browns. But I don't not that I don't have a good feeling about this one. I just know the Texans at 8-3 are pretty good. The Browns have 4 wins. That's more than the last 2 seasons combined. And they're trying to beat 2015. We'll see. The Colts at the Jaguars, who I thought were going to be pretty good this year. They would have to win out just to be 500. They're 3-8. But the Colts and Andrew Luck have looked pretty decent. They're one of those average teams where it's like, okay, they're good. They can go 8-8, 9-7. They're 6-5 at this point. I'm going to take the Colts in Jacksonville. Warm weather for Andrew Luck. As long as he doesn't get hit a lot, he's going to be fantastic. So Colts over the Jaguars. And let's see. We do agree. Nate and I do agree. Here's the next one we disagree on. With the Bills at 4-7 playing in Miami against the Dolphins at 5-6. I'm going to take Bills Mafia on this one. It's another upset that I'm picking here. And he does have the Dolphins. So I want to see stat-wise. Is there a decent comparison here? Because this, I think it's just going to be that one weird game where Josh Allen, as much as I don't think he's going to be that great, needs to work on passing. You wouldn't think that with the dude that can throw a 90-mile-an-hour freaking fastball or whatever. 95-mile-an-hour fastball with a football or whatever. Not literally, but that's just his arm strength on show. And this page is not loading. I'll figure this out here. No. It's not working right now. We'll give it a minute. But I'm going to say the Bills over the Dolphins. My computer is working overhaul right now. I wonder if... Here, let's check these settings right here. Does Google Chrome need updated? Where do I go to check? Hey, hold on. I'm looking. Checking for an Update. No search results found. Alright, well, we'll just restart Google Chrome here and just pretend nothing ever happened. So, ooh, excuse me. Something was going to happen. We knew it. Alright, can we load it now? We're further along off. Yeah, I just need to restart it. Alright. So, let's see. The Dolphins better in total yards, passing yards. Bills have the advantage in rushing yards. Dolphins in average yards per play, points scored, fumbles lost, which is not good. The Bills actually had the advantage by 0.1. Buffalo throws twice as many interceptions. They allow more sacks. They're not as good on third down as the Dolphins. They hold the ball longer, though. Better time possession. More penalties. That can hurt them. They allow less yards than the Dolphins. So they got a better defense overall, passing, rushing. Points allowed. Recovering more fumbles. They get less interceptions, but I mean, if you get more sacks like they do and don't allow as many third down conversions, the Bills' defense will help them out there. 79% of people have the Dolphins, but that's just the thing. The next one, another team that's trying to fight for that number one spot, currently in like third or fourth right now. The Giants are hosting the Bears, who I have in this game, and so does Nathan. All right. That was going to feel really weird if he didn't. So, Bears have a good offense. Their defense is doing fantastic. Bears are going to win this one. The Panthers at the Buccaneers, and we're disagreeing here. Oh. I mean, he's got the Panthers in this one. Right now I have the Buccaneers, but let me look at these stats here because I would rather be wrong and fix it than be right and not acknowledge that. Okay, where are my stats? There we go, team stats. The Buccaneers better in total yards, passing yards. Carolina Panthers have way more rushing yards. The Buccaneers are better in yards per play, very slightly in points per game, like 0.6. Wins 0.4 to 0.5, fumbles lost. It's almost irrelevant, but Carolina throws 1/3 the interceptions. 1, 2, 3. Actually, yeah. Well, whatever. 1 divided by 3.5. 1, 3.5. 1, 3.5. Whatever, but that's the division pretty much. 0.6 to 2.1. Carolina allows less sacks, mostly because Cam Newton can run around. Buccaneers better on third down and time possession. Carolina has the advantage in penalties. Fewer, I should say. Less yards allowed. That was ridiculous on defense. Fewer passing yards, fewer rushing yards, fewer points allowed. Buccaneers recover more fumbles. They do. Let's see. Panthers get 3 times as many receptions. Tampa Bay gets more sacks and allows fewer third down conversions. Grammar. This is going to be interesting because Carolina is better on a lot of aspects. But, I mean, the passing yards is the one that really, really catches my eye. The total yardage, they're getting 454.3 a game. Carolina, 370. 371. Passing yards, the Panthers at 232.5. Buccaneers at 355.8. They might pass right over the Panthers. That's why I think I'm going to stick with the Buccaneers for now. Until something on Sunday says, hey, change it. I'm going to leave the Buccaneers. So that's 3 different games so far for between me and Nate. The Chiefs at the Raiders. This one, take it to the bank. This is going to be a lock. The Chiefs are going to dominate the Raiders. It's going to be, I think it's going to be by 2-3 touchdowns. 14 to 17, maybe 17 points. Maybe. It's going to be a small blowout. The Jets are at the Titans. This one's another interesting game. The Jets fighting for that number 1 spot. They're tied for third, I think, unless they are third. The Titans hosting have been on a roll. On Monday night against the Texans, I thought they were going to win. I was like, oh gosh, 10-0 in the first quarter. This isn't going to be good. And then the Texans came back and stomped them and said, I don't think so. Doubled them up 34-17. But the Titans can play, and they should beat the Jets here. And so do 95% of the other people think that. The next game, this one is going to be interesting. By the way, Nate and I agreed on the Titans. Yeah. We agree here that the Vikings going to New England to play the Patriots. I almost wanted to pick the Vikings in this one, but late in the season, it's probably going to be nasty weather. Vikings don't play well outdoors anymore, or have they ever? Hello. Patriots should win this one. So 81-19 on that pick there. So we agree here. 49ers are in Seattle to play the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks here. 49ers, even though they swapped quarterbacks, got a win out of the one dude, out of Mullins. Hasn't shown anything since that, and yeah, it's pretty much the end of that story. Seahawks should win this one. Oh, wow. Okay, we agree on... I'm going to have to talk to him about the Monday night game. Those are all the Sunday day games. Sunday night, the Chargers are in Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. This is going to be a really good game. This game was flexed to Sunday night. It was earlier in the season. They flexed it to the night game. And I'm kind of surprised. The Chargers are hot right now. They have been most of the year. They're doing great. They're 8-3. Philip Rivers needs to get a deep playoff run. If they do, I'm going to root for the Chargers. They're not going to get past the Chiefs, though, is the thing. So we'll see. I'm surprised Nate has the Chargers and not the Steelers, honestly. I don't know what his reasoning behind it is. I don't like the Steelers, which is a lot. They're at home is the thing. We both are going against the grain here, so we're picking a geographical upset, maybe? Because in theory, they have the same record. Steelers are 7-3-1. That one tie was against the Browns in Week 1. So, I don't know. At home, 59% of people agree with it, or disagree with us, because we have the Chargers. People have the Steelers. Interesting. So, we'll see how that one goes. Chargers, I think, are going to win. Monday night, Alex Smith, a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you guys saw, had on the date 33 years to the day of Joe Theismann's leg injury, and I don't know if any of you know about that, but go look that up. It's pretty gruesome, I will warn you. The injury that Alex Smith the Alex Smith injury, where his leg broke, I didn't think it was as gruesome, but it wasn't good. And by golly, I hope he recovers quickly, because it wasn't pretty. So, and Colt McCoy is their quarterback, I think, right now, unless they sign somebody that I don't know about. Nate has them picked. I don't know why. I have the Eagles at home, and so do 75% of people. So Nate's got some reasoning, and I'm going to have to talk to him and see if he's going to change the pick. But that's where I stand, and we can go ahead and just lock those in. So, again, I have Saints, Falcons, Broncos, Rams, Packers, Texans, Colts, Bills, Bears, Bucks, Chiefs, Titans, Patriots, Texans, Seahawks, Chargers, and Eagles. So Nate and I have, I think, 4 games differently, or picked differently. So that's where I'm at with those picks. And I talked for 50 minutes. A little bit of ranting, a little bit getting stuff out of my system, and then just talking. So just doing something. I'm, as you guys are hearing this, I'm continuing to work on some wedding editing. And then also look forward to a Scriblio video soon, hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so. I'd like to get it out because I had a fun time. Nate, me, my brother, my friends Sam and Josie, we all played, and we had a good time. So an hour and a half of that I got to edit down. So thank you guys for listening. Nate will be back soon. Wish him luck on his finals before he has break in a couple weeks. So it's going to be, I think it's the same week that episode 14 will come out in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, basketball season is underway. I'm starting some basketball games. I got some tomorrow night and Saturday. My brother is going to be down in Columbus for Family Weekend for Army Reserves. Go Army. And I've got NBA Live 19 now because fork to the stomach of 2K Sports, especially NBA 2K. It sucks. The mechanics. Meh. NBA 19, I've played one game already, and it was one of those court battle games, which is kind of like the online Ultimate Team type thing. It's like street ball. It's kind of fun. There's a lot of rules that you can change and have for your own court. I made a player that plays almost like I do in real life, except he can actually make shots. Is the thing. But characteristically wise, pretty much how I play basketball in real life. It's not how I choose to play, it's just how I play. And I chose it that way, so it kind of works. It's kind of cool. So stay tuned for a live stream of that soon, because I've already been requested to do one. So I might do more of those, considering it's basketball season. So I'll still be playing Madden off time, stuff like that. So stay tuned for all that stuff. We will be back in 2 weeks. Stay tuned. You're gonna get blasted with videos here in the next several days. So enjoy, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.